Good morning, guys, or evening or afternoon, whatever time it is where you're from. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 2, or the second video that I have on this Triumph Bonneville that I'm doing a fix and flip on. So if you guys missed the first episode, basically all I did was go over what it took to get this thing running and kind of the initial problems that I saw when I took a little look at the bike. And since then, I've just been kind of riding it sparingly, getting a little bit of a shakedown on the bike. Now this episode, what I'm going to go over is the process that I use personally for my bikes, whether it's a fix and flip or a basket case or a project or a build or whatever. And damn, that was a cool Sportster. So the process that I go through, as well as kind of the first initial set of parts that I did buy for this thing, so I do finally have some money actually invested in this project. I'm about $230 deep right now, so I'm going to go over what you can get, or what I got for that amount of money. And that's straight from the dealer, by the way. I didn't really price gouge or price hunt. I just went ahead and just ordered what I thought it needed because I didn't think it was going to be all that much money. So the process that I go through with any bike is always in the same order, really, give or take a couple minute details. But number one is going to be legal and paperwork. So I highly suggest everybody do this part. I don't usually tell people to take my advice, but I will tell you to take this. Before you spend any money on parts and you go crazy ordering stuff and mods and all sorts of crap, just make sure that the paperwork's all clean and clear on the bike. Make sure the title's in your name, there's not a lien on it, it's not a salvage title, you know what you're getting. Because I can't tell you how many horror stories I've heard where somebody buys a bike, spends a bunch of money on it, and then it gets like repoed, or the cops show up, or it's a stolen bike, or any kind of issues like that. So for me, the paperwork's clean and clear, the bike is in my name, all that's taken care of. So step one is good to go for me. Step two is going to be, what does the bike actually need to run? And I'm talking bare minimum here, because you want to know what state is the bike in if you don't already. So if you're buying a bike that doesn't run, which is what this bike didn't run when I bought it, or maybe you're buying a bike that's in a bunch of pieces or a basket case, before you go spending a bunch of money on performance stuff, you want to get the bike running, check the motor, check the compression, all that type of stuff, which was basically episode 1 of this bike. So for this bike, for example, it was literally gas, battery, air filter, spark plugs, and just a real quick run through, and it runs all right now. It actually runs really good now, and I don't even know the current condition of like the clutch and everything else, but it runs strong and it pulls hard, and that's good enough for me. So step 2, figure out what the bike needs to run, and is the motor good or not, or is it garbage? This motor sounds and feels pretty good to me, so step 2 is complete. Now step 3 is going to be, what do you need to make the thing reliable and safe? Now this can be combined with some fun stuff. So if you're going to start doing performance stuff, exhaust, or a power commander or whatever, or jetting of the carburetor, you can kind of combine that with step 3, because now the bike's legal, it's in your name, it's good, the motor's good, and the transmission and the brakes and the wheels and the bearings, and you have a rough feel for the bike, and you've gotten a little bit of a shakedown, hopefully. So now step 3, you can start to make it reliable and see what it needs for maintenance. So that's where the first initial chunk of change that I spent is on this bike. So the first $230 really is going to be mostly gaskets, maintenance, oil, things like that. And once I finish kind of the steps I'm talking about, I'm going to cut to the parts real quick and kind of give you an overview of what my money got me. So step 3, make sure it's reliable, and make sure the motor is dynamite, and do whatever you're kind of wanting to do as far as the engine work goes. And then step 4 is going to be your mods. This is the fun stuff. So I would do step 4 as far as like, taking fenders, chopping, welding, cutting the frame, changing the wheels, handlebars, kind of all the fun stuff that will really make the bike look good. Not feel good, not ride good, but look good. I would say step 4 is going to be more looks, and step 3 and 4 really go together. And then finally, step 5 is going to be either sell it or enjoy it, ride it. And that's really kind of it. I mean, it's a pretty simple process. Don't listen to me on any of this stuff, by the way. I'm just some guy on the internet. But if you guys have any other helpful steps that you follow when you do builds or projects, drop them down in the comments, because I'd love to hear them and maybe implement those moving forward. So right now we're going to be on step 3 with this build, so maintenance and making the bike safe before I start fixing a bunch of stuff and making custom brackets and things like that. So what I'm going to cut to now is I'm going to show you guys what my money got me for $230 bucks. So I'm going to kind of go to a table where I got some parts and show you what we're working with for our first kind of section of this thing. So all right, this is going to be the first $250 that I've spent on this bike. Most of this stuff was bought from a dealership, so it was probably a little pricier than you can find it if you were to just get it individually. But I wanted to go with ease of ordering, and I wanted to give you guys a good representation of what a little bit of money can do and how far just all of these parts is going to get me. So this is the majority of what the bike really needs, in my opinion, aside from getting the gas tank redone and a little bit of elbow grease. So this is all $250 total. Some of it was from Amazon, some of it was from a dealership, and some of it I had lying around. So we're gonna go left to right real quick here and discuss kind of what we have, but the majority of these parts installed is gonna get the bike back to being looking good, sounding good, and running good. So I've got 4 quarts of Castrol oil from Triumph. I ordered this from the dealer. I've got just a can of wrinkle black paint for redoing the valve cover when I get that off because the paint's all messed up. I've got a genuine Triumph oil filter, genuine Triumph spark plugs. I've got an odometer screw and an odometer knob, which the bike is missing to reset the mileage, which can come in handy. I've got these 4 rubber grommets that go on the headlight fork tube. This should keep the whole entire headlight assembly from rattling around. I've got 4 rubber grommets for the bolts that go in the valve cover to keep those sealed, to keep oil from leaking. I also have the actual valve cover gasket here, which is the main leak on the bike that we're going to be fixing. I've got all the rubber grommets that go with the side covers. So all these little ears and these holes right here that were missing rubber grommets, keeping them from rattling around. That's all of that, direct from Triumph as well. I've got these nice brown diamond rubber grips that I got from Amazon. These are just Amazon specials as well. These are black, just bullet blinkers. They are halogen bulbs. They're not LEDs because I didn't want to have any hyper flashing. So these will use the factory electronic system on the bike. They're gonna work great, and these are just fine. They'll work fine. I've got this taillight right here, which is actually, I didn't buy this, I actually had this. This is from my Honda Magna. I like the square look of it. I think it'll really match the off-road styling of the bike. Plus it's a built-in license plate light because it's clear on the bottom, so that will simplify some stuff as well. So I plan on using that. This is brand new black exhaust heat wrap, heat shield, whatever you want to call it. That's going to make a big difference on the way this bike looks because the current exhaust wrap is pretty gross, along with some really nice clamps. I got this on Amazon as well, I believe. Now these are the factory side panels and the factory fender that I was worried I wasn't going to be able to bring back. I had a buddy come by and gave me the homie hookup here and just spent, 10-15 minutes, and he buffed them out. He does detailing. They're not perfect, but they look infinitely better than they did before, so these are great. They came back much better than I expected. So all the side covers and the front fender have been polished and scratches and swirls removed. So these are basically going to be brand new. And that's pretty much it. So the only thing that's missing from this list is the fork. I bought fork boots, those little rubber squishy things that go on the forks. I think they look good. And that'll also cover up some of the silver on the bike. So, and a can of regular black spray paint. I have some of it, you could buy some of it. I included that in the price. So for $250, you can get all of this from Amazon or from the dealer. And this is the majority of what this bike is going to need to get it refreshed. So not a ton of money for quite a lot of parts, to be honest with you. So we're gonna get to installing some of this and seeing where that puts us on this bike. So that's all the parts that I got for the bike. Again, I feel like I got a pretty good amount for 230 bucks. And again, none of that stuff is being price hunted or gouged, or, I'm not in a salvage yard scalping parts off of a bike. All of that stuff is either Amazon special or I got it directly from Triumph. So, right down to the odometer knob and the screws, like all genuine Triumph stuff. So some of it I'm sure I could have saved a little bit of money on, but again, I didn't think that 230 bucks was really all that much for how much I got out of, that money. So that's gonna be it for this one, guys. The next video, we're actually gonna put this thing up on a stand or a lift and start tearing it down. My kind of initial plans to give you what's going on is I'm gonna be doing probably the wheels and the exhaust first and kind of work from the back and the front of the bike towards the middle. So I'm gonna pull the wheels off, I'm gonna sand or scuff up the paint on them and get them all cleaned up and paint them black because I think that'll look better. Check the bearings and make sure everything's good to go with all that. I'm gonna pull the pipes, pull all this old, just disgusting wrap off and re-wrap it in that black wrap that I just showed you. and you know, maybe get this pipes actually mounted on nuts and bolts rather than zip ties on the shocks. And then I'll probably pull the tank, probably pull the seat. I'll pull the front end off and do fork boots. I'll repaint and clean all the fork tubes up and this whole front end. I'll get rid of this god-awful thing. And pull the tank off and probably either get working on this dent right away or maybe send it out right away. I'm not sure yet. So that's kind of what's going to be into the next episode. If this kind of content is something you guys like, feel free to give me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, let me know what you guys want to see next, any questions you guys have. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Ride safe and stay cool. Later.